Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rouge Rugby podcast. My name is Dan Murphy, and with me always is Derek Brissett, Stu Hardy. Gentlemen, welcome to hashtag Down with the US week, or hashtag the US sucks. I don't know what we're branding. We didn't really talk about that, but
those are incredibly weak. Like, I feel like we should
I know
you should redo this intro.
No, we're sticking with it. We're sticking with it.
Oh, man.
I'm recording in a new space once again.
Terrible.
The lovely realities of home renovations. So I'm now.
A couple nice laundry baskets and stuff back there.
That is a storage bin.
Storage bins. I don't know.
Sir.
Your other shoulder looks like waste baskets of some sort.
Oh, those are garbage. That's just the garbage
bin.
Yeah.
Exquisite background that you're treating us to here today.
Look at that. I even show off my wife's little hashtag social cat media.
That's cool. There's a nice little painting on one side. But...
Yeah. She painted that. Quick story before we get started.
Nobody can see any of this if they're just listening on audio. So
sorry.
Well, they should really watch our show on YouTube.
This is probably the worst intro we've ever done.
Oh no, there's been way worse than this. This was so this was originally the nursery, and then we turned into my wife's office, and then in a few months it's going to be a nursery again because we're putting a window in the basement, and that's be my wife's new office. So this house is just chaos. I have no countertops. I have no sink in my kitchen. It's just chaos. But hey, listen, being a Canadian rugby fan, I'm used to chaos. I am used to insanity. So let's get right into it because
Dan, with that segue, it's no longer the worst intro you've ever done. I think you managed to save it.
We're on a roll, guys. So, last week we got together and recorded, and we were hoping by the end of the night, maybe we would get the roster for the World Cup qualifiers. And hey, didn't happen. Okay, next day, didn't happen. Waited another almost week, 6 days before Rugby Canada finally announced their roster. But before that, they actually had even more news, because another little tidbit that didn't really release to fans was, hey, how are you guys going to watch this? We knew that the USA fans were going to watch it on Flow Sports. Sorry, guys, that's just with the cookie crumbles. But hey, listen, we've got just as a confusing situation as well. Rugby Canada announced a broadcast partnership with Premier Sports, the first round of Rugby World Cup qualification pathway. Now, you may be asking, who is Premier Sports? Well, if you are a rugby fan and if you listen to this podcast, you probably have been watching or paying attention to the British and Irish Lions tour that just happened in South Africa. Now, Stu, you might have to correct me on this, but they're a English company. Broadcasting company?
Yes, I believe they are a British broadcasting company. They currently have the rights for the United Rugby Championship, previously known as the Pro 14 in the UK. They also have the rights for the Top 14 as well, and therefore are the only thing that the Top 14 are exporting to the UK at the moment. And, they have annual subscriptions. I think it's, I want to say like £90, which is about $180 for the sake of simplicity.
What? Sorry, what's that number, Stu?
About
for us to stream or a yearly subscription?
So this is a yearly subscription for a multitude of sports, because they also have the rights to the NHL in the UK as well.
So, but let's think about that. Cut that up for how long? How long is a rugby season?
Oh, so this is for a year contract.
A year, right? So when you think about it, like that's not really that much. It might be rough math.
Sportsnet, I think.
Yeah,
what's Sportsnet, like
$19 a month
a year?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is the thing. I am using like UK prices, so I'm
no, for sure.
I'm probably
we're just more used to hearing that as a monthly.
Oh, okay.
It's not so much a monthly, but it was like he was like I'm trying to think. Yeah, maybe I guess it's not 180. Okay,
think about it. You're paying for Sportsnet. I'm pretty sure it's like $19.99.
It's 20 a month. Yeah,
20 a month.
Okay, so
months?
In the UK, the monthly rate is £13 a month. So let me just find a quick conversion to.
I think though. A slight tangent on this. Well, I mean, we're already on a bit of a tangent, but it's like None of what Premier Sports does in the UK really matters because we can't actually watch it in Canada anyways.
That is true. But
so
I'm just going to say a monthly subscription works out at about $23 Canadian, but this is obviously UK prices as well.
So that's not bad. To put in perspective, in the Asian countries, 22 Asian countries, they have 6 nations, the Lions, the Premiership, Rugby Championship, and Super Rugby. So like outside of the UK, they are like the rugby.
They have a lot of rugby. They have a lot of rugby that we can't watch in Canada, though.
No.
So all we get is it's so weird. I'm finding it so weird that Rugby Canada put the price in US dollars on their announcement. Like, I find that so weird. Either way, so they said $14.95 US to watch the 2 games, which is $18.86 Canadian, which is the price that I care about because I'm Canadian. So I mean, for 2 games though, right? Because you don't, as we just said, you don't get any of that other stuff that we're talking about.
No, that's true.
So it's just under $20 for 2 games.
Yeah.
So Dan, I'll let you continue now that we've kind of cleared away that.
Yeah. So previously, Rugby Canada has had a working relationship with TSN. The Toronto Arrows themselves had all of their games broadcasted through TSN, either on their streaming on their website or on TSN2, depending on what channel they were using. And also the Rugby World Cup was on TSN and then streamed on TSN's website and app when the games were on demand. It's a very interesting transition because, you know, one of the great things about Rugby Canada and having the games on TSN is you could just throw on TSN and it would be there, you know. But now we're again, Derek is bringing up the point is that it's more money that fans are having to pay. Fans are not happy about this. Go to the replies of the tweets, any the on Reddit, on any of the fan support pages on Facebook. Fans aren't happy about this. But Patrick Johnson, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this because Patrick Johnson at Rising Action, who has been a constant voice in rugby reporting in Canada, put a little perspective into this. And he says, why is this a thing? Because Rugby Canada used to pay to get airtime on TSN, and there's clearly little or no advertising money to recoup broadcast costs. Blame the pandemic. And then the other point of this is blame the weak state of the national team's brand, which was frankly never that strong. I mean, we haven't been very competitive for a while. So, you know, and then just blame longstanding budgetary issues. And, you know, I think he makes great points. You can't go out and spend money you don't have. And we haven't been making any money. We didn't make any money from those July tests. You know, we haven't had a Rugby Canada match in Canada since the BC All-Stars versus Rugby Canada.
Ooh, big one.
That would have been the last, you know, test match.
Not a test match.
Not a test match. A Rugby Canada match that fans were allowed to go see and pay a ticket to go see. You know, like we just don't have the money. And my frustration is then, okay, would the Rugby Network not be a cheap option? I know that you're probably not going to get money from them, but you've already had that relationship with MLR. They've already streamed the Samoa versus Maori All Blacks game, which was a good match, and they did a pretty good job holding that. Or even, you know, you had that relationship with DAZN. I mean, DAZN might be distancing themselves some rugby. I was looking on the app and they don't have any rugby on their app right now. You know, typically they have games on demand from, you know, the last matches that were played. They're all gone. You can't even find rugby on the app right now. So, you know, they're kind of left with very little options.
Yeah.
I want to get your guys' thoughts about this because, you know, again, fans are not happy about this. Like they're frustrated that, again, in a pandemic when money has been tight for a lot of people, we're now spending another $20 just to watch rugby when it was previous
to watch 2 games
for 2 games.
I think see, here's kind of the thing that I think like Johnston brings up some good points, some fair points to be brought up. I don't think what he said is necessarily going to change the frustration levels of fans. Even if if they are some good points regarding like why this may have happened, or but yeah, I feel kind of weird talking about this in a sense that I know it's ultimately like as a fan, I understand the frustration and stuff, and I want to convey that there is the frustration of the fan base, but it feels like it's going to be completely filled with just absolute hypocrisy because I know I'm paying for this anyways, right? Like I know I'm watching it. Like it doesn't matter. They could you could if they told me I had to pay $50 to watch the game on Teletoon, I would be like, all right, like I'm paying $50 to watch Teen Titans and then Rugby Canada after or whatever's on
That
television.
actually sounds like a pretty good.
I know that sounds like a great situation.
a
Actually,
great situation.
Rugby Canada on Teletoon and the Cartoon Network. That's the way it should be. But the point I'm trying to make is like I think the frustration kind of lies in, like you said, Dan. There's going to be obviously the cost. People are already streaming stuff, especially streaming sports and stuff. If you're already paying for like cable, or maybe you're paying for Sportsnet, TSN, DAZN individually. We've talked about in the past how spread out the broadcasting rights are for rugby in Canada, right? So it's like if you want to watch Premiership, if you want to watch Super Rugby, if you want to watch the Rugby Championship, the Six Nations, if you want to mix in some league in that, it's like you're paying for a lot of different streaming services in order to make that happen, right? And so obviously, and you kind of look at it, the zone's $20 a month. Sportsnet now is anywhere between $12.50 to $20 a month, depending on what package you're actually paying for. TSN comes in around $20 a month. These extra 2 games are now another $20 a month. So you're looking at like maybe $80 a month to stream sports if you're choosing to buy all of those.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing to me is it's like Rugby Canada's games, even if they were paying for them, as Patrick Johnson said, right, we're on TSN, which is one of the biggest sports broadcasters in Canada. It's them and Sportsnet. Those are the big two, quite frankly, the only ones really. CBC Sports kind of mixes in there a little bit, but those are the 2 biggest ones. And in all honesty, if you're going to come off of TSN, anything that isn't Sportsnet, DAZN, and maybe CBC Sports is going to seem like a downgrade to sports fans in North America. Like that's just the simple fact of it. And then you factor in the extra costs and stuff, right? And that's that's detrimental, as you said, Dan. Fans aren't happy, and I think the thing, like I said, I feel hypocritical complaining about it, quite frankly, because I know I'm paying for it anyways. But like the thing that it concerns me for Rugby Canada a little bit is because if you look at all the comments that have been made by on various social media platforms, I'm seeing like a lot of names that I recognize as people that like engage with our account, that I've seen engage with other Canadian rugby accounts or MLR teams accounts and things like that. Like people that I've never necessarily met in real life, but through online interactions, I've come to recognize them as, big rugby fans. And I'm seeing a lot of those people that I look at as being like, yeah, these guys are like big rugby fans. Like they're engaging with our show, which I'm assuming like you're probably a pretty big rugby fan if you take the time to listen to this. And you are. I don't think.
Oh no, you're right.
Yeah. But
just the delivery of it.
Oh yeah, exactly. I don't know, man. I don't think we're picking up too many person that watched one rugby game one time. But that'd be cool if you are. Thank you for listening, regardless of how many rugby games you actually watch. But like it concerns me to see like those folks that are being like, I'm not paying $20 to watch 2 games. Right. And there was a lot of people that wrote those in various different social media posts. And that's a concern, because if it's like, one, like it's if you're looking at the growth of the game and stuff, like if people that are big rugby fans that are engaging with these like rugby accounts on social media a lot, and active within the rugby community in Canada.
Yeah.
And they're saying that they don't want to pay $20 to watch these two games. Then like people that have a mild interest in rugby aren't paying $20 to watch.
Stu, I want to get your thoughts about this, but I do have one thing I want to mention. And we had Brian Ray on like about a year ago, the first time we had Brian Ray on, and we talked about the state of Rugby Canada. And he talked about how there's going to be pain structurally because of the financial situation Rugby Canada was in, and also the players, just how there's going to be a transition. Like, it feels like we had people tell us that we were going to be in pain, that changes were coming and all this stuff. And now suddenly it's happening. And now it's here, and people kind of forgot about it. And the thing is Canada and the US as well are in a tough situation because they're being compared to countries where centralized programs are king, especially in the Southern American countries like Uruguay, Chile. They've made so much progress. They've been able to have centralized training, but we kind of forget about the logistics of how hard it is to run a centralized program in Canada and the US, considering just how spread out our athletes are. Like, I'm not going to make an assumption on how large Uruguay and Chile is, but I have a feeling that you could probably drive from one end to the country to another within a day. You can't do that with Canada and the US.
Someone's totally fact checking you on that. You're going to that
okay. Well, listen, but like that's my point is you can't do that. A Uruguayan player most likely can prepare, be part of a day practice and then go home to his family where he might have more financial support because he can stay closer to his family. And also that also means that the proximity of all those countries and also lax COVID protocols means that they were able to have test matches. They were able to play rugby and they have a little bit of revenue with having fans. Like Canada and the US weren't able to do that because of COVID protocols being set by our governments. So we were already at a disadvantage being able to try and bring money back in. So even if we wanted to, we couldn't even play rugby in our countries because we couldn't have any other countries come in and play us. So like, I understand fans' frustrations that we've gotten to this point, and it's not just been because of COVID. To say Rugby Canada's financial problems are because of COVID would be
or any of the other
narrative.
problems that Rugby Canada currently has.
I'm just talking finances. I don't want to get into the tire fire that is everything else with Rugby Canada today.
We got like 10 episodes this year that are talking
exactly. I'm just saying, I understand the frustration from fans, and I'm frustrated. But like,
I think
it's the same thing. Like, the amount of money for 2 test matches, you're paying almost $20.
Okay, so
how many hours of entertainment is that? About 4 hours of entertainment?
Here's the thing: is
think about how much money you spend going to a movie.
Yeah, hey, Shang-Chi comes out this weekend too, man. People making that decision.
That's a little bit less time, and you're probably going to spend more between your ticket and entertainment, food, and stuff.
The thing is, though, like just I'll let Stu jump in, but it's like I said, it was like you kind of look at other streaming services, and it's like DAZN's $20 a month. Sportsnet kind of has a range, but we'll call it $20 a month if you want to have the rugby involved in that. So we'll say that for the context of our show. TSN's $20 a month. Netflix, depending on your package, 10 to 20 a month. Disney Plus is 12 a month. Crave TV's 20 a month. Right, like, and think about all the additional content that you get with your averaging.
I understand that, right? So, but at the end of the day, like, this is the deal Canada's been stuck with. All right, Stu, I want to get your thoughts about this.
Like I said, everything that I say that's negative is hypocritical because I'm going to buy it.
For sure.
It's like complaining about gas prices. It's like I need gas, so I'm buying it, and it doesn't matter.
Stu, I want your perspective on this because again, you don't, you didn't grow up watching TSN on Canada Rugby on TSN and the World Cups on TSN like Derek and I did. So I want to get your quick perspective about this because with a little bit more, I mean, I don't know how much familiarity you have with Premier Sports and just kind of their kind of product. How do you feel about this recent new might last longer? Again, this is only a deal for the 2 matches. So if Canada wins or loses their next match, we don't know what's going to happen with it. So what are your thoughts about this?
So what I think this is actually a litmus test for Premier Sports more than anything else, because what Premier Sports does in the UK is it carries the minor sports by comparison within the UK. So while it does have things like the Premier League football matches and so on and so forth, it carries the NHL, and it carries the NHL Live, which if you imagine watching like a Leafs game, now imagine that starting 5 hours later, and it's like 1 a.m. or 1 or 2 a.m, and you're exactly. See Derek's reaction there is just like, nope, shaking your head, not doing
this
that.
is I just when I see them go up 4-1, I just go to bed because I don't want to see the misery that follows. That's all.
Fair enough. But that's the thing. So if you look at rugby, especially rugby in Canada, it is a minor sport. And while we do have things like the Rugby Network, it's also seeming to be the case that we, and by we I mean like Rugby Canada, will need to have a balance between the two. The balance between having content that is giving them a return on investment and having a accessibility as well. And now we're seeing this with the rise of things like DAZN and the Rugby Network, for example, things that aren't the standard TV broadcasters like they are with TSN and Sportsnet. As it was mentioned in the article, they even quote the CEO of Premier Sports Asia, the Middle East, and North America.
What a bizarre territorial
everybody but Europe and Oceania.
But this is the point, because in the 22 Asian countries that Ryle Nugent obviously oversees, they've been able to secure the Six Nations, the Lions, the Premiership, the Rugby Championship, and Super Rugby. And if they realize that there's this market in North America,
oh my gosh,
that's saying we would love that as well. Exactly.
That's inject into my veins. One-stop shop for all rugby, man.
Yeah,
I would pay
exactly. But you're proving the point, Dan, by saying that, because if you're willing to pay $20 for 2 games, would you then be willing to pay? I'm just going to throw a number out there, like $200 to get every rugby tournament that isn't MLR or the World Cup per year.
You know, it's fascinating because I think what Stu has just said is probably the first positive thing I have heard about this entire deal. And you know, so I mean, that would be great if they were like using this as a way to be like, hey, like we're gonna put some more rugby. Dan, I haven't checked myself, Dan, but you're saying that the zone looks like there's a lack of rugby content per usual up there. So I mean, maybe if that's what Premier Sports is gonna do, I mean, then maybe that would be cool or whatever. That's a very that's an optimist. That's the first optimistic point of view I think I've heard on this entire thing.
Yeah. So that's how I'm viewing it at the moment. As in, do I want to pay nearly $20 for 2 games? Not really. I'd like to pay $20 and go to the games, but swings and roundabouts. Right. And so this is how I'm basically like trying to view it, because that's the thing. We could be in a position next year where we're saying, yeah, we're going to pay this amount of money per month or per year to watch all everything I've just mentioned, maybe even the United Rugby Championship as well. Maybe get a few of those games on at like 9 a.m. in the morning on the weekends.
Hey, listen,
I like it just for the optimism. Well, I guess
I'm going to be on paternity leave in a few months. Inject as much rugby as I can to my veins, because that'll be. I'll have a little nugget of a baby. I'll have it strapped to me, and I'm gonna.
I wonder how well the British and Irish Lions tour did for them.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting.
What was that, like $50?
That was $50, but that was the entire tour. So that
was like
$50.
And also, they also aired like
documentaries as well.
Documentaries and also former matches from the previous
So
South
you got a
Africa
little bit more content from them on that.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing. If you could, like we said, if we can get that or something similar, and then we have to pay, just that little bit more, but it secures a financial backing for Rugby Canada, that we can get like the national. So when the national team does go to the World Cup, it'll be on TSN, and then once that's going on, you can then even have promotion, because we've had promotion of MLR during the last World Cup. Imagine saying like, hey, if you like this sport, why don't you check out Premier Sports, and it only costs this amount of money? And some people may go, you know what, I'm willing to invest in that. But that is yet to be seen.
Yeah, like I think I totally get the frustration and stuff now, but I mean, I appreciate the optimistic outlook that you have just presented, though. Like,
you are welcome.
Yeah, like it's
all right.
It might.
Let's
there you go.
lead that optimism into our next discussion.
And honestly, hopefully that's it. Hopefully it's like, it's kind of sucks now, but it might be cool in a year, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully. Well,
okay.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We're also complaining about something we haven't actually experienced yet. So
yeah, could be great. All right. So,
and like I said, are going to pay for it anyways.
Later that day, Kingsley Jones finally released his 30-man roster for the upcoming qualifier pathway series extravaganza hoopla matches. So 12 Arrows players were selected, with Mason Flesh, Jason Higgins, and Spencer Jones in the running for their first caps. So Ross Brody, Mason Flesh, Jason Higgins, Spencer Jones, Cole Keith, Will Kelly, Ben Lesage, Pat Parfrey, Andrew Quattrin, Tyler Rowland, Lucas Rumball, and Siaki Vikilani. From the coaching staff, Rob Howley and Coco is also with Rugby Canada. So excited to see those guys with them.
Howley's main job is Rugby Canada.
Yeah, he's mostly Rugby Canada.
He's mostly just a consultant. Consults the Arrows occasionally.
Listen, he had Arrow gear on. He's going to be...
he was with the Arrows first. That's what I say.
Yeah. Returnees from the World Cup that weren't part of the Arrows include Matt Tierney, which we're going to talk about him in a little bit, Peter Nelson, Kyle Bailey, Matt Heaton, Eric Howard, Justice Sears Duro, and Jake Ilnicki. Standing for the uncapped list is, again, Spencer Jones, Foster DeWitt, Brock Webster, an interesting name, Mason Flesh, and Jason Higgins. Now, this has been part of the discussions about this roster for weeks now. Paul Tate described them as the fit absentees: Tyler Ardron, Evan Olmsted, Tyler Duguid, Will Percillier, Matt Bukaboom. And then two names that were interestingly brought up as we were kind of writing this were Doug Fraser and Josh Larson, not included in the roster as well. So let's get into the European pros first. So here's the thing. We don't know why these guys aren't listed. All that we know is that Kingsley Jones in the release talked about, we've been working this tirelessly to ensure that our team is as prepared as we could for these upcoming matches. As we know, coordinating the logistics of assembling players in a COVID world is no easy task. So I understand, again, Rugby Canada fans are on a razor's edge of frustration right now, and not seeing Ardron, Olmsted, Duguid, and Percillier, even Matt Bukaboom, not being part of the lineup is frustrating. I understand that, folks. Here's the thing we have to take in consideration is there are a multitude of reasons why they might not be here. One, they might not want to be here. They might want to put more of a focus on their clubs, and that's a personal choice. Two,
choosing
COVID protocols between, I don't know what the isolation rules are like in France. So they might not be willing to take the time off to play with Canada and then possibly have to isolate from their team to come back in and play with France, right? Like that is a huge risk to miss that much time with your team. You know, there's multiple reasons that we don't know what the answer is. We don't know. And yes, it sucks. Tyler Ardron was our captain at the World Cup. Evan Olmsted has been and is probably one of our best locks. Tyler Duguid is one of our best prospects, probably one of our best locks in Canada right now. Will Percillier, we have talked enough about him. Those are guys that, yes, I would gladly take them on our roster right now. But here's the facts: is they're not here, and we gotta deal with it.
It does sound like it's a mix of just choice, and some clubs might be being jerks. But that's
and like that's the thing.
That's
right?
the two main reasons that I've heard for individually why these guys aren't playing or why they aren't there. Choice. Well, I mean, if you don't want to be here,
I had a high school teacher who told his students,
why come? Like,
if you don't want to be here, don't be here.
Yeah, if you don't want to be here, don't be here. So that is
Ardon and Olmsted have put their time in. Like, I get it if they don't want to have to slog out with the national team, get their arses kicked around and around. I get the responsibility to your nation. It's an incredible opportunity to play for Rugby Canada. But when you as a professional athlete only have so much time to make your money, you got to make that money. Ultimately, you just gotta.
Ultimately, I kind of think I got two sort of thoughts on this. I see that everyone's super frustrated by the players, not certain players not being on the team. I think it's just everything that's happened with Rugby Canada in the past year. I think it's just, and I think it even kind of shows, like, even this week, like, I don't think a game being on Premier Sports or even a roster announcement coming out a little bit later than expected would be that big of a deal 10, 5, 2 years ago. But it's just like what has happened with Rugby Canada this year, especially in like the aftermath of like the Olympics. I think everyone, the fan base level of frustration with Rugby Canada as an organization it's boiling over.
It's about to boil over. Micro incidents that are just layering on top of
little
each other.
Things that it's like annoying because it's like because it's little things that are starting to just annoy fans, I think, more than they normally would. Not saying that it's not justified to be annoyed by these things.
Yeah.
But it's like they're building up. So so those players are gone, but I agree with you, Dan. So the thing is whatever the reasons are, they're not here. You can't worry about them. They're not here.
Yeah.
It's like if you're Kingsley Jones, and it's like if guys are choosing to go, can't control that. If it's a club, whatever, can't control that. Guys are hurt, right? Jeff Hassler, Taylor Paris, they're hurt, right? That's why they're not here. It's not a full strength Team Canada, but it's the best Team Canada of guys that are available and maybe also willing to do it. So if you're Kingsley Jones, this is what you got to work with, right? And it's like now your job is to take this group of 30 and go qualify for the World Cup. And that's what you got to be focused. You can't dwell on
how amazing.
You can't dwell on the guys that aren't here. You have to focus on the guys that are here. Because
how amazing
the guys
is
that
it
are here have a job to do, and that's beating the USA on Saturday and next Saturday.
And this has been an underlying kind of underrated fact about this roster. How amazing is it that we can actually have a full lineup?
It's cool.
Of fully professional rugby players.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. I like it.
I don't think Rugby Canada has ever had that opportunity.
No.
You can throw Quinn Nawadi on the wing and take out Kanoa Lloyd, but he's been training with the Sevens program. I consider him a pro rugby player. The way he played
he's the only guy with an amateur club listed. But
and you know what? The way he played against Wales and England, I think we
was
can
the best
let
player
that one
against
slide.
Wales and England.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot to be excited about. Like, I think Canada, like it or not, it's a rebuilding team. Like we know there's been a significant lack of success in recent years, and it is genuinely it's time to turn the page. There needs to be like I talk about, man, like there needs to be like the full out like cultural shift in the organization and stuff. And as it is honestly, it's kind of nice to see like, hey, there's some young players. And Dan, you kind of mentioned the pain and stuff. Kind of reminds me of like Mike Babcock's first press conference when he was signed by the Leafs.
There will be pain.
And it's like and it's like, I think this might be that era for Rugby Canada where it's like you might have to sacrifice maybe not doing so hot for a little bit. But
and you know what?
ultimately, to kind
Maybe
of
that
rise
last
back up, you might have
maybe
to
that last
work through
Olympic
it.
cycle was what the Maple Leafs. It's actually a great analogy when you think
I know,
about
yeah,
it,
exactly.
because the last Olympic cycle was literally what was going on with the Leafs before Babcock came in.
Yeah, so it's
they had a couple of stars. DTH was our Phil Kessel. Ardron was our Morgan Riley. They had a couple of guys that were keeping this team just kind of at that level of like almost floating.
Yeah.
But it was hiding all the underlying problems that the Leafs had. And that's the same thing with Rugby Canada. Damn, that is a great analogy.
Yeah, like
Derek, I love it.
Yeah, and you know what? The sad thing about that analogy is the Leafs still suck. So that's the sad thing. But they're getting better. They're getting better, I guess.
They're getting better.
But
Stu, I want to get your thoughts about
Rugby
this.
Canada is also getting better too, though, right? And it's like I said, it's like at this point, it might be like you look at the squad, there's a lot of young guys. There's a lot of guys that have less than 10 caps. Right. There's a lot.
We've got a professional rugby team. We've got
two guys who is it, Bailey and Parfrey, that have 30 or not 30 caps, that are over 30 years old. Like it's not a lot. It's a young team. And like it's a young team, and it's like you have to build for something, right? And it's like, the tough thing is that these are like must-win games, and you got to figure out how to do it with a new squad of super young players. But you also have to figure out how to build for the future of Rugby Canada as an organization as a whole. And I think in looking at the roster the way it is, yes, it's disappointing that some of the legend, like some of the star players, the veteran star players, aren't there. But it does open the door. Like, yeah, Tyler Ardron can't play 8. You know who can play 8? A 2-cap Siaki Vikilani and a 2-cap 1-cap Corey Thomas. That's like, here's your chance. It's like our star player is not here. Let's see what you guys got in a big game. By the way, Cam Dolan's the guy across from you, so let's see what you got here. It's opportunities, right? It's and
like they've been bashing against them all year. So
exactly, and I mean that's all I'm trying to get. Don't worry about the guys that aren't here. It does no one any good to worry about the guys that aren't here. Or like, in all honesty, it doesn't do anybody any good to be concerned about that. So it's focus on the guys that are here. Focus on developing those young players, because the end goal, like I think I kind of said, right? It's like the goal realistically shouldn't be to qualify for a World Cup. That should be like an expectation. Like the goal is to win a World Cup one day.
Yeah.
You got to build towards that. Right. Like, you know what I mean? Like the good rugby nations, like qualifying is standard. Like,
the good rugby nations don't worry about it because they don't have to worry.
It's the difference. But it's but it's like that's what it is. So you want to get this done as quickly as possible so you can prepare for the World Cup, right? Because even if you get to the like that's all what it is. You're just trying to qualify fast enough. But I think like Canada is weird, as bizarre as this may be, and I kind of laugh every time I run. Canada's one of like, I think what is it, 6 to 8 teams? Can't remember what the number exactly is. One of just a few countries really that have played at every World Cup.
And I know, and we've talked about that before.
Yeah,
Stu, I want to get your thoughts about this, because you have been part of discussions about this online and stuff like that. I want to get your thoughts about this roster, the situation that we're going into. And I want to get your thoughts, and Derek, I'll get your thoughts after. Who are your nailed on to start guys? Because, we're talking about opportunity, and there are a ton of opportunities in certain positions, but are there any guys that you have a strong feeling that, that's where they're going to play?
Well, I think something that's nailed on is a surprise drop goal. So it only has to be Mr. Lucas Rumble.
Oh my God.
Yes,
I forgot about last week, you guys, with that. Oh.
Yes, thank you, Stu. But Stu, just we're bringing this podcast down, Dan. Stu just bringing the optimism all night.
That's
what the bright yellow shirt is. It's like a ray of sunshine today.
Okay, in all seriousness, I think that Lucas did like a mighty fine job, especially against like Wales and England. I know the scoreline didn't reflect it, and he said that the team needed to be stepping up game after game, and he was disappointed given. But if there's one guy that I'm sure the USA don't want anywhere near a ruck, it's going to be Lucas Rumble, because if one player gets isolated and Lucas is there, that's going to be a turnover. We've seen it before. I think as well as that, I think in the center as well. And these may seem like obvious answers, but they're obvious for a reason. It's Ben Lesage.
I was going to say, looking at the roster, they're all obvious.
Yeah, but that's it. I mean, Ben, he set up 2 of the tries. I think in the July series as well. He's incredible defensive, and maybe saying like, "Oh, you're Arrow supporters. Of course, you're going to say that the Arrows co-captains.
They're the best. They're the best.
Yeah, they're the best for the they're the best. They're the co-captain. They're the co-captains for a reason.
Yeah,
and so obviously those 2 I definitely see pinned down. And then I'm just having a quick look. Let's say I'd love to see Spencer Jones get his first cap and
that'd be cool.
Start. But,
I don't know if he's locked lock, but
well, it's interesting. I've been kind of muddling with that, and I want to talk about one guy in a bit, but I think that I like the idea of maybe playing Nawadi on the wing instead of Cole Davis.
I kind of looked at
Jones.
I kind of looked at a starting 15, and I'm like, I think Nawadi could fit on the wing with Jones. Especially with how good Jones and Lesage are together, and what we've seen all year. I think that could work. I think the big, there's a lot of guys that probably are just they're starting, like Sears Duru starting probably. Matt Tierney though. We haven't mentioned.
So that's what I want to bring up. So
Matt Tierney, the one European guy that actually is coming over.
And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you guys, and maybe this is my front row bias, but I think he is the most important of the European players to play for Canada. Because if you look at the front row of the US,
that's exactly
depending on who they pick at hooker, they could have a all European front row. And Joe Tuatafe is playing prop. That they listed him as prop. That's what he played with in the other test matches. So that's prop one prop.
Prop/hooker,
yeah. Then you got David Enu, other prop, and then you could go with pick your poison. You can go with Dylan Fawcett, or if you want to go with that European flair, Pifoletti playing for the Saracens. I think there is having Tierney to hunker down. I think it's going to be Sears, Duru, Quatrin, and Tierney. That boosts my confidence in the pack a lot, because
we're going to need it. Yeah, well, especially it's going to be Anu that's at loose head, so Tierney's going to be tight head. So at least you get that matchup. But I mean, like you said, even if Tuafeti starts at hooker, the tight head's either going to be Waldron or Mullen. So I mean, it's loaded either way.
Mullen didn't have a good end of the season though. I want to let's still there. I don't want to get into.
Waldron was great though, man. Waldron.
Dino Waldron is another animal altogether.
I'm surprised. So let's go with that then. Waldron starts, and you got the. He was the first team All MLR tight head, right? Yeah. So it's
tough competition. So I'm glad for Tierney.
Yeah. So with that, did you guys take a crack at a starting 15?
I did. All right. So I've got
get into that.
let's do that
estimated. So again, caveat that we are recording this on Tuesday night, so obviously neither team has put out their starting 15s yet.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to pull this up. Oh, I got it up twice. I already had it.
Maybe it's out by the time you're actually listening to this.
So I had Sears Duru,
okay,
Quatrin, Tierney.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. Do your pack.
Bailey, Thomas.
Yeah. No, I can see it.
No, sorry. I'm looking at my. Sorry, I got Bailey Keys, Thomas at 6, 7 Rumball, 8 Vikilani. And my reasoning with that is Heaton is coming off of injuries. We know that. I don't know if I want a 90% Matt Heaton where I could have Corey Thomas, who played very well at flank and at 8-man for Canada or for LA. And also he's another lineup threat, which when you've got Cam Dolan as one of your other threats, you need as many guys in the line out as possible. Ross Brody at 9, Peter Nelson at 10. I liked what I liked for the most part what I saw from Nelson in the July test matches when he was given the opportunity. Then I have at 11, Nawadi, 12, Jones, 13, Lesage, 14, Kainoa Lloyd, 15, Cooper Coates.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I went. I mean,
you're telling me the reason why I went with
no,
Coates
I'm not. It's not like it's. I know. I was
no.
Just
the big knock against him was he had problems with high balls. So
no. Oh, I have nothing against Coates except realistically, Dan. Where's this
going to be Parfait? It's going to be
Parfait.
I know it's going to be Parfait.
Yeah, where's this game being played? It's Parfait is 15.
I think that's a disservice to what Cooper Coates did in the UK.
I think Cooper Coates is good, but this unless you go Parfait Lesage in the centers, that's the other option. But Parfait is starting this game.
I mean, Cooper Coates is a Halifax boy, so I mean, it's not that far. He's still an East Coaster.
It's literally Parfait's home club. It's not even the hometown. It's the home club too. Parfait's playing this game.
Anyways, that's my lineup. I have Parfait on the bench.
Yeah, I think I might go Howard over Quattrin from what you had. Then what you said Bailey and Keys at lock. I think I went my back row. I think honestly, if Heaton's there, if he's good to go, it's a must-win game. That's the thing. You need everyone firing, man. If he's available, he plays. You're not worried that our only if he's available, he plays. And that's I mean, right? If you are willing to be like,
I've got him on my bench and he's an impact sub.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm going Heaton, Rumball, Thomas as my back row. Putting Thomas at 8, right?
Okay. All right. So then you just take away that's good because I mean you still have that lineup threat. I like it.
Yeah. No. So I'm going Heaton, Rumball, Thomas. And then 9's Brody. I mean, I think that's to me that's an easy one. Brody and Higgins being the two scrum halves that have that are playing for Canada, right? And it was like Brody was the starter for the Arrows the whole year. Like ever since week 3, Brody's gotten the edge over Higgins. And I mean, I don't see why that would be any different for Rugby Canada, especially with some slight Arrows influence and stuff in the staff and things too. So yeah, Brody starts. Honestly, I know you said Nelson. I'm debating about start. I would debate Will Kelly.
No, I don't. I don't trust Will Kelly.
I don't trust Peter Nelson. What has Peter Nelson done, man? Like
he played pretty as well as he could with the barring people running offside on a starting kickoff.
He played pretty well as well as he could. What a ringing endorsement.
I don't know. I saw a lot of missed kicks when he played for the Arrows that were rookie mistakes, and right now I just don't have the confidence in him.
I'm honestly I don't have the confidence in Peter Nelson either. And I mean, he's realistically, I know he's older. He's realistically has 1 year of test rugby under his belt.
Yeah, but he's also played in the Pro 14.
Yeah, he has, but it's like 10 test caps, 9 test caps. Like, it's not like he's like a vet that has been around forever or whatever. I don't know. I think that's I think that slot.
That's fair. Listen, your arguments are fair.
Whether it's Nelson or Kelly. Here's the thing though, that I'm going I think Kelly, if you go Brody, Kelly, Jones, Lesage, that might be some much needed
Familiarity.
chemistry in the back
Yeah.
row or the back line for this. So I'm up to give the. I agree with you, Jones Lesage. I'm gonna go with Nawadi and Lloyd on the wings as well. And like I said, Parfait starts. It's in Newfoundland. He's starting. I'm sorry. Like that's what it is. It's in Newfoundland. He starts, even if it's at.
Yeah.
If it was
They're putting
another
him
test match, I would agree with you. But this is too important to
and-
make a
but
decision
he's
based
still
on.
Parfait. He's still one of the best players. He's starting. Stu, do you have anything that's different from what we've said without having to rifle through an entire team again?
I'd say my back. I would have Rumble as flanker, Vicky Lai as number 8, and then I'm like a coin toss between having starting Michael Smith or starting Heaton, and then the other one being on the bench.
Yeah,
So-
okay. I put Heaton on my bench, or sorry, I put Smith on the bench too.
Yeah, so just for the sake of difference, I'll start Smith and I'll have Heaton on the bench. And then I would probably have, I'd say Brody. I'm going to go with Kelly. I'm agreeing. I think there was a few issues with Nelson against Wales and England, and I'd like to have Nelson on the bench. Be the general.
Nelson's on the bench in this situation. Kelly should be on the bench too if Nelson starts.
Yeah,
and if they're not playing well, just yank them.
Yeah,
pull them out after 20 minutes.
I want to have another kicking option.
Yeah,
which is why I would probably have Povey be fullback.
That's it.
We'll see, and then on the Nawadi.
I'd rather see Povey on
Nawadi, Jones, Lesage, Lloyd. The rest of the backs, and everything, and all the forwards are the same.
Yeah.
If it's to me, if Will Kelly isn't starting, I don't think he's on the bench. I think it's going to be either Povey or Nelson or Parfait, because they want someone that can cover multiple positions, or Coates.
Well, that's the thing.
Coates can cover the wing. He can cover the wing or at fullback.
Parfait is playing 80 in this game. It might not be in the same position where he started, but he's playing 80 in this game.
I can't agree with you on that one. I don't see that just because it's in his. I think he'll play. I just don't think he'll play the whole match.
Rumble, you could probably look at this and be like, you could probably tell the guys that aren't coming off. It's bench though. I think front row because I was Quattrin, Keith, Ilnicki, my front row bench. Then I did Mason Flesh and Mike Smith, the other two forwards.
Yeah.
Higgins, obvious backup scrum half choice, and then Nelson because I said maybe Kelly should start, and then Coates for the 23rd.
Yeah, bench. I took Roland over Ilnicki.
Okay.
I think a bench is a perfect position to give a guy that test match blood.
I think it's. I think you might want that more experienced prop coming off the bench though.
He's unattached. Why do I want an unattached player, Derek?
Well, attach him to some of the forwards in USA and have him.
He was also dealing with injury problem near the end of the season, so I don't know how much. Again, I'm going on. I want guys.
Yeah,
he played. I think Roland played well in his limited time.
Man, so. I liked Roland. I liked Roland all year.
With
I think he's good. He's young, but I think there's a lot of potential there. I think there's a lot of potential with a lot of the players on this team.
And then I had Heaton instead of Smith.
Yeah, so it's like we flipped the guys that we started.
Flip some of the guys, and then
it's the same.
Yeah,
it's the 23 is our combined 23 is pretty identical, but
it's
Brock Webster. So I wanted to talk about Brock Webster. He is a guy that I find really interesting. I'm really, there's a part of me that loves chaos, and I would love to see what he could do. I don't know if that's on the bench, but I'm so tempted to friggin' just start him because he played so well.
Wow. All right. Well,
he played so well at the under-20s as the 10. Him and Percillier, like in another, like in a variant timeline, Canada's starting lineup with 9-10 would be Percillier, Brock Webster, because they have such a connection and they're good friends. Damn it, I want to see that, but I'm going to keep him off my roster just because.
One day,
hopefully this turns into an MLR contract for Brock. I would love to see him stick with 15s.
Yeah, one day it might be, man. One day it might be.
God.
It's interesting. Like I think it's tough because it's like I went from the idea of during the July test matches to just be like start all the young guys, get everybody's caps, get everybody's games under their belts. And now for this, I'm like, this game's way too important to do that. The best guys got to go. They have to play, right? The best available have to play.
Yeah. So let's do a quick comparison quickly to the U.S. roster because I think there's been this really strong dialogue that the men's roster has a fistful of European professionals when in reality they have 5, 6 if you want to include Ruben de Haas. But he's been in training camp with the Saracens.
I would include Ruben de Haas. Yeah, I would include him,
even though he just played a season of MLR.
Yeah, on loan from a team from Europe.
All right, I'll kind of give you that.
Yeah.
So it's compared to Canada's one in Matt Tierney. So that's a big comparison. But
USA, I think, Dan, as you mentioned, they are missing a couple guys like Wu Ching and stuff. Like they're not Wu Ching, Teo, for various reasons. But they're not necessarily.
They're relying on a lot of MLR talent. That's just my point.
Which is, by the way, a good thing for me.
It's a great thing.
It's great. This is what we wanted. It's great.
Exactly. And
USA's
fullback is going to be Will McGee, who really didn't play a whole lot this year because of injury, unless they throw Marcel Branch to fullback.
You can do a couple things,
and then who you're going to put at center. So I'm just saying that I know that yes, the USA will probably win this series. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people are making it. I don't want to. I just feel so frustrated when I hear about about how our fans are treating the Canadian roster when in reality I think it's going to be a lot closer than people give them credit. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Canada gets absolutely dusted. That's on me. But
yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think again, though, I go back to what we said earlier. It's like there's just a certain level of frustration from the Rugby Canada fan base right now.
Yeah, and that's fair.
It is what it is,
and they're taking it out on the guys that don't deserve it.
Yeah, USA's got some young guys on their team and stuff too. There's a couple potential first caps that could possibly be playing. Stu's favorite player, Brian James. Maybe he gets his first cap and stuff.
Favorite American player.
Favorite American player. Yeah, man, I haven't heard you talk about anybody else as much as talk about him. So, but yeah, it's still a good team. I think the big strength, the pack of the USA, potentially, depending on what Gary Gold decides to start. Like you said, you can go with an all European pro front row. They can be backed up by Peterson, Breakley, Hermesize, Fanana, Schultz, Dolan. Who else? Savetta's in there, Mullen, Wingluski, Pifoletti. There's a lot of really strong players that can make up that pack.
Oh, you know what? I actually missed a European pro because of Sasene Fungai's new medical joker contract.
They can even do that. Yeah, he's on.
What a sweet deal! You play for play in France until January, and you come back and play in MLR.
Perfect.
It's a great deal. Provided they might not give you a test.
But it's like, so it's like the pack's good. I think a huge matchup. Like we said, being realistic, 9 for the USA. We'll say probably either Augsburger or De Haas, depending on what Gary Gold decides to start. I don't think it'll be Basca, so that's all I'm saying is Augsburger, De Haas. Augsburger or De Haas and AJ McGinty versus Ross Brody /
Will
Peter
Kelly.
Nelson / Will Kelly.
Yeah.
Ooh, at a very vital position. That's a big.
But that's an Aj McGinty coming off major surgery, was
it's true.
Really, really. I'm not going to say rushed, but progressed quickly. So that is a wild card in its own. What is he? How comfortable is he going to be? They don't really. We haven't heard a lot from their training camp, so that's going to be an interesting situation.
I think the announcement specifically went out of their way to mention that he's ready for the game, though. So
yeah, but they could also say that he's also a wizard, and we have to believe
he is.
him.
Have you seen him play rugby? He's a wizard.
But like,
that's why he went to
Harry,
England.
like type of
Hogwarts
wizard.
is. That's exactly why he's in England. It's where Hogwarts is. He is a wizard.
Oh my god.
But,
the Irish American playing in the UK.
But even at that though, like, what if McGinty's at 80%? How good is that though?
Yeah, that's all we got for this episode. We are excited to see the match on Saturday. If you are in the St. John's area and you're looking for something to do, they still have tickets available for the game. So go to Rugby Canada's website for the link. Let's have a great showing. Let's show the guys that have been, between the Arrows and the guys playing on the American teams, and Matt Tierney and Peter Nelson playing over in Europe. Let's have a good welcome back to Canada. I would love to see that stadium filled as much as they can get it, so that way we can have a good showing for Canada. If you want to listen to more of our episodes, last week we kind of took a look at the draft, and we also looked at the USA's roster a little bit more into depth. You can find them on YouTube. You can find them on all podcast platforms. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Rouge Rugby. If you have any questions for us, rougerugby@gmail.com, Derek.
Rouge Rugby
Every time I
podcast@gmail.com.
have to ask you. And that's why I ask you, rougerugbypodcast@gmail.com. Ask us some questions. Let us know if you have any piping hot discussions you want us to get into. Gentlemen, we've got another test match on a long weekend. It's very exciting.